Hey tankers, this is the Tier 5 Soviet heavy tank, the KV-1. It's well armored, slow, has a good gun. This is a very forgiving tank for newer players. I played it when I was very new to Blitz and managed to do okay with it. Once you know how to play the game, you can do even better with it. Here I am platooning with Warlord in his Excelsior. I don't know about you, but I can't pronounce Excelsior without all caps and an exclamation point. Anyway, we are heading up to caves and starting to notice reds show up down near the cap area. So shortly, we're all going to decide to go back down before they can start capping, and to support our teammates who are down in that area. KV-1 is a slow tank. I have the what I think is the best gun for the tank here, the 85mm F30 on it. It's a good gun. Good penetration, 120 and 161 with APCR. It's got an okay rate of fire at 7 per minute, and it's not a super accurate gun, but if you aim in, you're actually surprised at how many shots you can make at pretty decent range. When I was looking up the stats for this gun, I was not expecting it to say 0.42. I was thinking it was more like 0.40, because that's how it felt. The aim time, 2.9, manageable for a heavy tank. Anyway, I am up here. I am providing as much cover to my team as possible.
Looks like that one went right through.
And see, I'm bouncing shots. This is a tank, not just a heavy tank with good armor, it's a heavy tank with the same armor on the side as on the front. So you always want to be angled in this tank. More angled than most heavy tanks. Because you essentially have more armor to the side, because if they hit the tracks, then that adds some extra armor to you. And you see, as you can see, I'm staying up here. You cannot depend on this armor. It does not protect you from all possible harm. But if you constantly stay angled, you will bounce a lot of shots. Some players seem to like playing with the 57mm gun, high rate of fire, high DPM gun. But that means you have to stay out in the middle of things and keep firing, and that's not the best use of this tank. You want to be able to hide. That game went well. Here I am playing solo. I'm playing on Copperfield, and I am noticing that the rest of my team, while I go up on top of the hill, are heading off to the side. I am taking a calculated risk here, figuring that if the whole enemy team is up here, this tank is going to be able to fight a really good retreat, and I will buy a bunch of time and do a bunch of damage before I die. But ultimately, I found on this map that you need somebody on the left and somebody on the right. And if that's going to be just one tank, the KV-1 is right for that. Because I'm by myself, I'm being cautious here. I moved up, I put a shot into a Japanese tank. I have a Churchill up here who's playing games, and I can easily penetrate him. He's decided to just drive out into the open and over the edge of this hill, and I managed to put 2 more shots into him before he leaves, so he's low on health. Now here is another KV-1, and I fire and he fires. Each of those shots is eaten by tracks. And this is going to be a one-on-one exchange. We're both full health, and I am going to kill him without taking any damage other than to my tracks, because I know how to angle and he doesn't, and I know how to fire at weak spots and he doesn't seem to. So I'm pulling up here, fire at his lower hull, easily get through his pretty good frontal armor because it's flat to me. Do the same thing again. Bounce a shot. He's moving up. Put a shot into his lower hull, and he decides, I think he's trying to flank me somehow, but he doesn't have any hit points left, so boom. Alright, now I have mostly cleared these hills. I want to support my teammates across the way. Again, this isn't a super accurate gun, but if I aim in, I can work with it. Come up across here, aim in on the Lee, and kill the Crusader as he moves across in front. The Lee's dead now. There is a T-28 out there. Lose sight of him, move up a little bit. I'm very aware of the remaining enemy medium tank over to my left, but doesn't seem to be giving me any trouble. He gets spotted again, I aim in, and he's dead. Now I'm going to move up here, and he's not going to get away before I can take him out. And I think that shows how powerful this tank can be under the right circumstances if it's high tier. Another second class medal, I believe, 1900 damage, pretty good for a tier 5 tank. And all alone on the side there, I managed to dominate that game. Here's another one on Black Goldville, heading up toward caves. This one actually is going to end up in a fight around caves. KV-1 wants to always be cautiously near the front line, pretty much. And so that's what I'm doing here. Pulling up, aiming in, putting a shot in, backing up, hiding between shots. Always trying to stay angled toward whatever the biggest threat is. Got pretty good frontal turret armor, and so if I just show my turret briefly, it's very hard to kill me. Here comes a Crusader. I don't know what the heck he thinks he's doing. He has very little ability to penetrate me from the front, and he's just sitting there. Did himself a bunch of damage by ramming me. You do not ram a heavy tank with a light tank. So he basically committed suicide there, very convenient. Now I'm going to pull up. Put a shot into this Panzer. Again, you can get pretty good accuracy out of this gun if you give it the time to aim. He shows just enough of his lower plate for me to take him out. And I'm going to move up. I had initially thought I was going to miss that as he moved, but no, instead I get a bounce. At some point here, I'm going to notice that my gunner is injured, and I've been getting pretty good accuracy despite that, but I decide to hit my multi-repair kit. Move up here, don't get that kill, aim in, do get that kill. I'm going to fast forward, there's only one enemy tank. Even at fast forward, this thing doesn't move super fast. And we have a Hetzer. He's not being careful. I guess he's decided he's about to die, so he might as well just charge forward. And I'm going to get the kill. That's it. Very strong tank. Bounced a lot of shots. Second class medal. 1700 damage. 4 kills. Shows what you can do with this tank if you have some idea of what you're doing. In the next one, I am solo on Winter Malinovka. I'm working on getting my team to come up to the windmill. I'm going to be moving up in that direction. My tank belongs up there in the middle of the fight. got a T-28 that charges forward and runs right into a rock. He's gonna, in a few minutes, get himself in big trouble. I overexpose here, get a bunch of spots, but take a little more damage than I should. For the rest of this here, I am going to try to expose myself to just one tank at a time, and managing to do that for the most part. So, waiting for reload, firing at this Panzer, bouncing shots from my turret, staying angled. This tank is not complicated to play. Get a kill here. Going to fire at the T-25, but the Panzer III jumped in front and took a shot for him. And he's YOLOing forward. I'm not sure why these guys do this. But the sacrifice is appreciated. On the other hand, our T-28 essentially does exactly the same thing. This was the same guy who charged into a rock. So, you know, we each got a clueless YOLO. See how many tank shots I am managing to bounce here. Staying angled, giving them the hardest penetration at all times, often giving them a little bit of a wiggle so they can't aim in easily. This T-25 has turned his back to me. This tank has actually decent gun depression of -7 degrees, which is excellent for a Russian heavy. So that's nice to work with as well. And there we go. So we've cleared the windmill. Move up looking for shots there, and then I noticed the spawn camping KV-1. This is not what to do with a KV-1. He did get a nice shot in on me, but that's going to be most of the damage he does this game. He's the last tank alive. Please don't do this with KV-1. I switched to APCR, but I actually didn't need to do that because I actually put one through his drive wheel, which I could have done with AP. But that's the game. So 2.5k damage, 3 kills, first class medal. Hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe.